Hello and good day to everyone listening to Silicon Soundwaves. My name is Navarrete.
And I'm Renata Castellon, and today we're going to be discussing the grueling topic, has the U.S. overstepped international boundaries?
This has been a very divided and debated topic among citizens and the wider world with a lot of back and forth.
A heated debate between many is the trades and tariffs administered in mid-2025. These tariffs have negatively affected our relationships between many countries and close allies. This all began because President Trump wanted to, as he would say, put America's needs first. In doing so, he put many tariff increases on goods and invoked Section 232 on resources such as steel, aluminum, and copper, as well as a 47.5% tariff increase on China's goods.
In retaliation against President Trump, many countries responded with their own increase on tariffs, most notably China, who continued to escalate average tariff rates up to 125%. This would include many rare earth materials that would negatively affect the U.S. Canada also followed through, imposing their 25% tariffs on auto steel and aluminum, as well as many other consumer-grade products. The EU announced a $32 billion retaliatory response. However, they have delayed due dates in order to pursue negotiations.
Before we continue, we'd like to share major complications facing Americans. The job market has been increasingly limited for future generations. Youth unemployment has increased over the years, but with Skills USA that can change, offering new pathways for students around the country looking to push their boundaries to meaningful futures. A workforce of over 450,000 students are diligently preparing to launch into action as new professionals. Over 55,000 of these represent California. To learn more, visit www.skillsusa.org.
Back on Silicon Soundwave, the United States has backed out of multiple agreements and organizations. For example, the World Health Organization, the Paris Climate Agreement, and the UN Human Rights Council. All of this has caused much backlash around the world, with many questioning the views of the U.S. with concerns of safety and the future. While the U.S. has decided to pull out of those organizations, they've begun pursuing other things, such as dominating Latin America. More specifically, exploring more resource development, such as Venezuela oil. Recent news broke out with the bombing of Caracas and the subsequent abduction of President Nicolas Maduro on January 23, 2026.
Many from both inside and outside the U.S. have criticized this event as a clear overstep in international law. Here are a few words and perspectives within the U.S. on their actions.
We are now joined by Marine Mr. Oscar Alfaro, now working as a history teacher at Santa Teresa High School. Mr. Alfaro, what is your perspective on the actions the U.S. has recently taken with our neighboring countries?
Well, I will start my response by bringing up President Washington's farewell address, in which he warned us not to get involved in foreign affairs, which we have done the opposite of that. In his farewell address, it warned us not to get involved in these entanglements, but we've done the opposite. And he said for us to have faith in justice towards all other nations, but we've done the opposite. In the case of Latin America, which I happen to consider myself a Latin American historian, we have done weather quite often. I like to point out Nicaragua specifically. As early as the 1900s, the U.S. goes into Nicaragua and starts getting involved in our foreign affairs, which they shouldn't have. They first established a dictatorship that lasted for 40 years, and the U.S. backed them because they were pro-U.S. and it benefited the U.S.
We're interrupted with another key problem facing future generations, a high jump in school absenteeism. Chronic absenteeism is more than 50% higher than it used to be. Almost 1 in 4 students are missing in school classrooms. Factors can include lack of school structure, lack of support, or overall neglect. With Skills USA, that can change. Skills USA offers prizes for attendees as well as a buddy system to encourage and improve motivation. To learn more, visit www.skillsusa.org.
And the Somoza regime now is overthrown by the Ortegas. And then the U.S. gets involved again because the Ortegas are pro-communism, and then they want that in Latin America. So now they are involved again. So it becomes one of those Cold War proxy battlegrounds in Latin America as a result of communism, trying to prevent that from happening in Latin America like it had happened in Cuba. So this is Nicaragua. And as a history teacher and as a Marine, I like to point out the great Major Smiley Butler, who served in the Marines for 30 years. And he says that we, the Marines, are much like gangsters of capitalism. He compares us to pirates because we go and make money for Wall Street and U.S. bankers while forgetting that we're here to defend our country only. We shouldn't go and attacking others. And to close this segment, I like to have a quote that says, history teaches what we do learn from history. And I think that's very true, like we have seen in the case of the U.S.
I think that's a very good quote to end on. We've seen time and time again the way the U.S. and other countries, too, have continued the same type of choices that lead to such anarchy. So thank you for providing your voice. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
The U.S. has its problems, but it's not over yet. With more people like these, we can hope for a brighter future where we can strengthen our relationships with our neighboring countries.